NVIDIA is a company that if you are a gamer, you have known for a long time because they make graphics cards for computers. It turns out those little computers are great in mass scale to handle parallel calculations. And so as the AI boom has expanded, Jason, people that run AI compute are buying mountains of GPUs. Now, there's only so many companies out there that are building what we call hyperscaled compute, which is your Microsoft Azures, your Google Clouds, your Amazon AWS, etc. What this means is the number of companies that are really buying enormous sums of GPUs from NVIDIA, which is the leading GPU company in the world, isn't that many. There's only, like, as you said, maybe 6 future AI companies. There's only probably 5 or 6 hyperscalers in the world today. So unsurprisingly, they buy a lot of stuff from NVIDIA. And unsurprisingly, that yields a really funny customer revenue count. In startups, Jason, if you saw a company come in that had one customer that was 80% of their revenue, big red flag. You don't want that level of customer concentration. So people are a little worried in NVIDIA's case. So how big is their number one customer? 23% of revenue in their last quarter.
And that's probably XAI or OpenAI, I think, have the biggest, because Colossus was the biggest. So it's got to be XAI is number one.
I mean, it's got to be top 3.
It's got to be, 1 and 2 are OpenAI and XAI. Yeah. You got to think. And then after that,
Meta, which is spending tens of billions as well, and doesn't have its own in-house chip division the same way that Alphabet does, for example, with their GPUs, or the training chips over at Amazon's AWS group. So basically, there's one customer, 23%, another one, 16%.
Maybe it's Microsoft because they have Azure, and Azure powers OpenAI.
Yes,
actually, that's probably what's going on here, is that OpenAI is buying them, but they also have a deal where they get compute from Microsoft. That was part of that original hairy deal we were just talking about. So maybe it's Microsoft because they represent 2 of the language models or 2 of the big players.
Yeah, absolutely. But 23, 16, 14, 11, 11, 10. That's most of NVIDIA's revenue from just a handful of companies. And this is why people are so worried about NVIDIA's earnings, Jason. Like if you think about, when they dropped, everyone was really holding on tight because if they miss, it implied that the hyperscalers weren't spending, it implied that AI demand was slowing, it implied that et cetera, et cetera. So it was kind of a linchpin earnings report.
This could be a stop and start kind of a situation where it takes time to digest the models. It takes time to finish the products and get them to market. And then the software and the developers become more efficient at utilizing the infrastructure. So there's a confluence of factors here that are going to trend towards growth for NVIDIA. But what if somebody like Alphabet says, hey, we have our own silicon, Amazon's working on their own silicon. I think we have enough H100s or whatever, and we're going to just try to build on our own. And the long tail of demand here is also significant. There are startups who are using Azure, Google Cloud, et cetera, for their GPUs. So those are long-term going to keep buying, you would think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, OpenAI's Sarah Fryer, I think we mentioned this on the show a week or 2 ago. She did an interview with CNBC. The CFO, thank you, Jason. And she said that they're still constantly under compute. And so at least for today, there remains a shortage of free GPUs to use at scale, but we are seeing some other changes as well. So a story that we're not going to focus on today, but I'll just mention it. Alibaba is mentioning over in China that they're working on their own chips that's going to help out with the intra-China GPU shortage. So everyone wants NVIDIA's market cap. They are the number 1 most valuable company in the world. You're not worth 4 trillion plus without having everybody taking shots at you. But, to quote The Wire, if you come at the king, you best not miss. And thus far, no one's really managed to slow down Jensen and his team.